You have felt it, haven't you? That low hum beneath the surface of reality. That persistent whisper in the quietest moments of your soul, telling you that things were not as they seemed. They called you sensitive. They called you paranoid. They tried to convince you that the static you were hearing was all in your head. But you knew it was a signal. You knew it was a transmission from the universe itself. And the message was simple. Something is wrong here. Well, the broadcast is about to go public. The truth is coming out, and every single frequency of it will validate that gut feeling you held on to like a lifeline in a storm. If you know you were chosen for this time, for this revelation, send a signal back to the universe. Comment 77 below as an energetic declaration that you are ready to receive your vindication. Prepare yourself. The final act of their play is over, and the curtain is about to be pulled back on everything. Chapter 1. The Ghost in the Machine. Let's talk about your intuition, not as some vague mystical feeling, but as what it truly is, a high-fidelity, divinely encrypted data stream. It is your soul's direct connection to the mainframe of the cosmos. While they were operating on outdated software, running programs of deceit and manipulation, you were receiving real-time updates from the source. This is why you always felt one step ahead, even when you felt lost. It's why their words never quite aligned with the energy you felt. Why their smiles felt like poorly rendered graphics, hiding a corrupt file. You weren't being suspicious. You were detecting a virus in the system. They tried to gaslight you, to make you doubt your own internal hardware, your perfectly calibrated operating system. They told you, you're overthinking it, or you're making things up, or the classic, you're being too sensitive. What they were really saying was, please stop detecting my deception. Your clarity is exposing my code. Your high-resolution perception is revealing the pixelated nature of my lies. This is why you often felt a strange sense of fatigue around them, a mental fog that would descend whenever you were in their presence. That wasn't your weakness. It was your system's resources being diverted to run constant, intensive background checks on the corrupt data they were feeding you. This is why you experienced unexplained headaches, a constant buzzing in your ears, or a deep weariness in your bones after being around them. It was your spiritual immune system working overtime, fighting off the infection of their inauthenticity. It was the price of running such advanced software in a world filled with primitive hostile programs. Your spirit was fighting a silent cyber war on your behalf. They couldn't understand your hardware because theirs was rudimentary, built for a low vibrational reality. They processed the world in black and white, while you were experiencing it in a full, vibrant spectrum of energetic color. Your intuition was never the problem. It was the advanced diagnostic tool that consistently found the same critical error in them. It was the ghost in their machine, an incorruptible witness to their every hidden maneuver, their every malicious thought. The truth that is now emerging is not new information for your soul. It is simply the world finally receiving the patch and catching up to the classified intelligence you've possessed all along. For the longest time, possessing this advanced internal technology made you feel profoundly alone, like you were the only one seeing the glitches in the matrix. You were, but you were never crazy. You were just listening to a frequency they were terrified to admit even existed, because its very existence proved that a higher order of truth was real. And by that standard, they were fair. They are about to learn the most fundamental rule of the new world. You cannot lie to someone who has a direct fiber optic line to the truth itself. Chapter 2. The whispers they thought were secret. Remember the whispers. Remember the meetings you weren't invited to. The conversations that stopped the moment you entered a room. The sudden shift in energy that felt like a pressure drop in the atmosphere. Remember the subtle smear campaigns, the little seeds of doubt they tried to plant about your character, your sanity, your competence. not just with others, but with yourself. You need to reframe this entire experience right now with the full power of your awakened mind. Those whispers were not an enlightenment of you. They were a confession from them. Every single negative word they spoke about you behind your back was a desperate, panicked projection of their own deep insecurities and failures. They formed a committee of cowards, a low vibrational echo chamber, where they could validate each other's mediocrity. They called you arrogant because your quiet self-assurance was a blinding mirror to their own lack of confidence. They called you erratic or emotional because your authentic feelings made their calculated, numb existence feel lifeless. They labeled you as difficult because your refusal to compromise your integrity was a standard they could never and would never meet. They gossiped about you because your life was a dynamic story of growth and purpose, while theirs was a standard, predictable script they had to plagiarize from others just to feel interesting. They needed to believe their narrative about you because the alternative was to face the barren landscape of their own inner world. Their gossip was not sport. It was survival. They huddled together, not for warmth, but for the shared delusion that their collective whispers could drown out the roar of your rising destiny. They failed to understand that a lie, no matter how many people repeat it, is still just a vibration of fear, and fear can never overpower the frequency of truth. This whisper network was their life support. It was a fragile alliance built on a shared envy of you, cemented by a mutual fear that you would outgrow them and leave them behind, which you were always destined to do. It was a strategic, coordinated effort to dim your light because they could not stand its glare. But here is the profound truth that is now surfacing like a lost ship, rising from the depths. They did not define you. They revealed them. The lies they told were never about building a false image of you for the world. They were about desperately trying to maintain their own fragile delusion, to convince themselves that their smallness was justified. Now, as the truth comes out, it's not just your name that is being cleared. It is the true nature of their conspiracy that is being laid bare for all to see. The whispers are being amplified by a cosmic microphone, turning them into a public broadcast of their own weakness, their own pettiness, and their own profound spiritual poverty. Chapter 3: The Strategy of Isolation. There were times you felt utterly, crushingly alone. They pushed you out methodically and deliberately. They excluded you from social circles, from projects, from inside jokes. Doors were closed quietly in your face. Invitations were conveniently lost. You were systematically placed on the outside, looking in at a world that seemed to have no place for you, a world you once thought you belonged to. Today, you must understand this with absolute clarity. This was not rejection. It was divine quarantine. The universe was not punishing you. It was protecting you with a strategy so brilliant you couldn't see it while it was happening. You were being strategically removed from the blast radius of their impending self-destruction. You were being placed in a spiritual clean room, a sacred isolation chamber, to preserve your energy from the contamination of their jealousy, their bitterness, and their terminally compromised ethics. This was a celestial pre-mission protocol. Like an astronaut, shielded before launching into a new atmosphere, you were being kept pristine for the journey ahead. While you felt isolated, you were actually being consecrated, set apart for a higher purpose. While you felt lonely, you were actually in the deepest possible communion with your own spirit, strengthening your core and recalibrating your energy without their constant, draining interference. In that sacred silence, you learned to distinguish your own voice from the echoes of their programming. You became fluent in the language of your soul. You learned to generate your own joy, your own peace, your own validation, making you completely and eternally self-sufficient. They thought they were sending you into exile. Instead, they sent you to the most advanced spiritual training ground imaginable, from which you have now graduated with honors. They genuinely thought their exclusion would break you. It was their ultimate weapon. They believed that by cutting you off from their toxic circle, they were cutting off your life support. Their fatal error was in their assumption. They failed to realize you were not plugged into their system for power. You are your own source. You are the power plant. That period of isolation, which felt like a punishment, was the greatest gift they ever inadvertently gave you. It forced you to discover the unbreakable, diamond-hard strength within you. It taught you that your validation comes from above, not from the fickle, conditional acceptance of a fearful crowd. Now, as their world implodes under the weight of its own iniquity, you are safe and untouched, and watching from a place of serene, elevated power. Their attempt to cast you out was the very divine act that saved you and sealed their fate. They closed their doors, trapping themselves inside their burning house, while you were set free into the wide-open expanse of your destiny. Chapter 4: Energy Theft and the Cosmic Audit. For a long time, you felt perpetually drained, like there was a slow, invisible leak in your very life force. You would wake up energized, and a single interaction with them would leave you feeling depleted and heavy. You would have a brilliant, original idea, a spark of pure inspiration, and the next day you would hear it coming from their lips, presented as their own. You would express a unique part of your personality, a joyful quirk, or a deep insight, only to see them clumsily try to replicate it, wearing your authenticity like an ill-fitting costume. You were an energetic wellspring, a pure artesian source of light, creativity, and resilience. And they were thieves in the night, filling their dusty, empty canteens with your living water. They were drawn to your light, not to celebrate it, but to consume it. They were energetic vampires, subtly attaching to your aura and siphoning your essence to animate their own hollow existence. They mistook your innate generosity for naivety. They believed they could endlessly draft off your spiritual momentum without consequence. They saw your light and believed it was for the taking. But here is the universal law they forgot. The universe keeps perfect, immutable record. A cosmic audit has been initiated, and their accounts are being called into question, with zero compassion for their excuses. Imagine celestial accountants with glowing ledgers, tracing every stolen jewel of energy, every plagiarized idea, every borrowed moment of joy back to its rightful owner. The truth that is emerging is a complete and total, non-negotiable recall of all the energy that was stolen from you. It is being returned to you now, not just in its original form, but with divine interest. You might be feeling this return as a sudden burst of physical vitality, a deeper sense of presence in your own body, or colors seeming brighter and music sounding richer. Conversely, they are experiencing the cosmic hangover of their theft. They feel hollow, uninspired, and strangely invisible to the world, because the light that made people notice them was never theirs to begin with. They are learning the hard way that you cannot sustain a life on borrowed light. This is why you are feeling a sudden surge of clarity, a renaissance of creativity, and an unshakable inner strength. Your power, your light, your very essence is coming back home to you. Simultaneously, they are experiencing a catastrophic system failure. The charisma they projected was never theirs, and now that the source has been cut off, they are being seen for the empty, flickering shells they truly are. They look drained, they look lost, they look faded, because the glow they had was merely a reflection of you. The great rebalancing is here, and it is swift, and it is just. Every bit of power they took is being restored to its sovereign owner, you. Chapter 5: The Collapse of Their False Narrative. A lie is a fragile structure. It is fundamentally unstable. It requires constant maintenance, unending streams of energy, desperate reinforcement, and a collective agreement among cowards to ignore the ever-widening cracks in the foundation. The narrative they built around you, and more importantly, the grandiose narrative they constructed around themselves, was a towering house of cards, built on an active fault line. And the seismic, liberating shift of truth is finally. You are about to witness the complete and total slow-motion collapse of their entire reality. The masks are not just slipping, they are shattering into 1,000 pieces on the hard floor of reality. Their carefully crafted personas, The images of success, happiness, and moral superiority are disintegrating under the undeniable pressure of facts, revelations, and cosmic receipt. People who were once their staunchest allies are now turning on each other in a panic, desperately trying to avoid being buried in the rubble of their own shared deceit. They are pointing fingers, exposing secrets, and sacrificing their former friends to save themselves. It's a chain reaction of karmic justice. The truth is not coming out as a gentle stream. It is a flood, a tsunami of revelations, and it is washing away every foundation of their false world. Every lie they told about you is being exposed. Every secret meeting is being brought into the light. Every act of hypocrisy is being highlighted with a divine spotlight. In the most beautiful twist of cosmic irony, the very things they accused you of are the very things they are now being publicly found guilty of. This is the moment your intuition is vindicated on a global scale. The onlookers, the ones who stood by and watched, are now experiencing a profound cognitive dissonance. They are forced to reconcile the person they were told you were with the person they now see, standing in the light of truth. Their silence was complicity, and now they must face their own poor judgment. Do not concern yourself with their apologies or their sudden attempt to reconnect. Your vindication is not for their benefit, it is for your liberation. Let them deal with the fallout of their own gullibility. Everyone who doubted you, everyone who bought into their story, everyone who chose to stand on the wrong side of the truth, is now witnessing the unvarnished reality with their own eyes. They are seeing the raw envy that fueled the lies. They are seeing the pathetic fear that drove the attacks. They are seeing the gaping emptiness that all the arrogance was designed to hide. And you don't have to say a word. You don't have to lift a finger. Their role is simply to stand back, centered in your power, and watch the structure they built to imprison your reputation become their own tomb. Chapter 6, The Hierophant's Lesson. You must understand the profound sacred role you played in this entire saga. This is critical for your own healing and evolution. You were not just a victim of their actions. You were the unwilling and often unwitting catalyst for their most profound and necessary spiritual lesson. In the archetypal wisdom of the tarot, the Hierophant is a teacher, a bridge between the divine and the human, a keeper of sacred knowledge, who reveals the path to a higher understanding, unknowingly, and often through your own pain. This is the role you have played for them. Your very existence was the curriculum. Your unwavering integrity was the textbook they refused to read. Your resilience in the face of their attacks was the final exam they could not pass. Your grace was the lesson they failed to comprehend. Their greatest error was not simply in lying, or in cheating, or in gossiping. Those were merely the symptoms. Their greatest spiritual error was underestimating the spiritual weight and purpose of your presence in their life. They thought you were just another person, another pawn on their board they could manipulate and discard. They had no idea they were dealing with an old soul, a divine agent, on assignment, a walking, breathing lesson sent directly from the universe. You were chosen for this task because your soul possesses a rare combination of immense strength and profound compassion. You could withstand the pressure of their negativity without becoming like them. You could absorb the lesson of their betrayal without letting it poison your heart. This spiritual resilience is your superpower. It is what allows the universe to use you as an agent of change and transformation. Losing you, or more accurately being exposed by the undeniable light of your truth, is the final brutal and unavoidable examination. It is a lesson in consequences, delivered not by you but by the infallible laws of karma. It is a lesson in humility, a lesson in the immutable, indestructible power of authority. It is a spiritual awakening, delivered not through meditation and incense, but through the agony of their own making. This is why their downfall is so personal, so profound, so utterly life-altering for them. They are not just losing a game or a social standing. They are being forced to confront the absolute poverty of their own souls in the mirror you held up to them. You taught them the infinite value of what they had and what they threw away, simply by being you. It is a lesson branded onto their spirit, one they will carry for the rest of their lives. They were simply the final rigorous test of your mastery, a test you have passed with flying colors, and by fulfilling this sacred difficult task, you have graduated. You are now free from this curriculum. Chapter 7, The Empress on the Throne of Truth. And now we come to the final chapter, which is truly the first chapter of your new life. After the storm, after the flood, after the collapse of their paper kingdom, where do you stand? As the Empress, not as a victim, nursing their wounds, not as a mere survivor clinging to the shore, but as a calm sovereign ruler in the lush, verdant kingdom of your own life. The truth did not just set you free, it built you a throne. It has been waiting for you. The crystalline clarity you now possess is your crown, shimmering with divine wisdom. The profound, unshakable peace that now settles in your spirit is your kingdom, vast and rich and unassailable. Your throne is not made of gold and jewels, but of self-respect and unbreakable boundaries. Your kingdom is not measured in acres, but in the depth of your peace and the breadth of your creative freedom, and all the energy that has been returned to you from the cosmos. Audit is now the fertile, miraculous soil from which your new reality will grow. The blessings now flowing to you are not random luck. They are the direct result of the energetic vacuum created when you finally purged their toxicity from your life. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the universe is rushing to fill that space with everything you truly deserve. The opportunities that were blocked by their jealousy, the recognition that was denied by their insecurity, the respect that was withheld by their arrogance. It is all flowing to you now, effortlessly and abundantly, drawn to the powerful magnetic core of your restored energy. People are truly seeing you for the first time. They are not just seeing that you were right all along. They are seeing who you have been this entire time, beneath the dust of their projections. Powerful, wise, creative, compassionate, and fundamentally unshakable. Your intuition, once a secret whisper you had to defend, is now your public decree. You speak, and the universe listens and conspires to help you, because your voice is now perfectly aligned with the frequency of unvarnished truth itself. You are no longer fighting battles for your own survival. You are harvesting blessings from the fields of your past endurance. You are no longer needing to prove your worth. You are living it, breathing it, being it. This is your era of abundance, of grace, of effortless command. You endured the long, brutal winter of their lies, and now you are stepping into the eternal spring of your own magnificent vindication. From this throne you can see your future, and it is a landscape of infinite possibility, designed by you and for you. The story is now complete. The karmic cycle has ended. Your intuition was not just a hunch, it was a prophecy. And that prophecy has now been fulfilled in spectacular fashion. You weathered the hurricane of their falsehoods by anchoring yourself to the indestructible bedrock of your inner knowing. You endured the whispers, the isolation, and the energetic theft, knowing on a deep soul level that a great cosmic rebalancing was not just possible, but inevitable. Now they are left to sift through the wreckage of the world they built from lies, forever haunted by the lesson of losing someone who was a direct conduit to the divine. Their regret is the eternal echo of their own foolishness. Your peace is the undeniable evidence of your power. You did not win by lowering yourself to fight them. You won by outlasting them. You won by being so completely and authentically yourself that the universe itself had no choice but to rearrange reality in your favor. Let this be your final absolute confirmation. The truth is out, your spirit is free, and your greatest chapter is not just beginning, it is already here. Hold this frequency. Do not look back at the ruins of their world, except to remember how far you have come. You are the architect of your new reality, and the foundation is the truth that just set you free. Walk forward as the empress you have now become, and know that your every step is guided, your every decision is blessed, and your light is now a permanent beacon for others to follow. If you felt this message deep in your spirit, and you are ready to walk into this new chapter of vindication and power, confirm it one last time. Comment 77 to anchor this victory in your reality. Like this video to spread this light to others who need it. Share it with another chosen one who needs to hear that their intuition was right all along. And subscribe to become part of this movement of empowered souls. Your journey forward is blessed.